We're live, LENSEC live. What's your perspective? And excited. We have a little bit of what's your perspective news to start out with. I cannot believe, as I'm clicking on our October newsletter, and an exciting part of our newsletter now that I'm excited to announce is 25 episodes. Can you believe it? 25 episodes of What's Your Perspective, which plus we're really happy about what we've been able to do on the show and such great contributors to the show. Make sure you share and like the page, and also go to lensec.com live to catch up to all the live episodes. We have talked about so many different things in security, physical security, and we're very, very excited about continuing great episodes and great guests. And today we have another really, really good guest. And he's a colleague of ours that we've worked with for years as a partner. His name is Geoff Riordan of AAMSCO. He's the CEO of AAMSCO, and enjoy that interview right now. Our guest today is Geoff Riordan, and Geoff Riordan is from AAMSCO and the president of AAMSCO. So I'm excited to welcome Geoff to the program, one of our partners who sells our solution. How are you, Geoff?
I'm good, Neil. Thanks for having me.
So let's talk a little bit about your background in security. Tell us how you got involved in the security industry.
We kind of explained that we came into the industry from a different approach than most people that are in it. My background is I came out of the credit card industry. And as credit cards evolved and we started being able to put images on credit cards, that moved me into the identification industry. And then the identification industry led me to access control and CCTV. We kept putting more and more technology into a plastic card, and that brought us to the security side of the industry. So I didn't come in from the point that we were selling access control and CCTV or anything like that. I came in from the ID side. AAMSCO looks at itself as an identification integrator, and we integrate these various ID applications to our markets.
So pretty much you were in the point and sale industry before the security industry.
No, actually I was printing cards for MasterCards and Visas for banks. And if you think about it, the financial industry in probably the early 2000s started putting a photo on people's MasterCard. And once you started doing that, then you really created the opportunity to make an identification card on a plastic card.
Oh, wow.
And then we started putting RFID in the cards and, barcode applications and more technology on those cards. And so that moved us into the security side of the industry. I still am in the financial side of the industry too, though.
Oh, very interesting. So talk about AAMSCO now, so we can know the whole realm of what you guys do. Mm-hmm.
AAMSCO is 40 years old. I've had the company for a little over 30 years. And as I said, we look at ourselves as identification integrators. We sell into markets, obviously government, corporations, education. We're popular with associations and what have you. We'll sell on a low end, we'll sell an ID system, possibly an access control system, something along those lines. And then, depending on what the customer's needs are, we can scale it all the way up to a large LENSEC application where we're keeping up with lots of monitor cameras and things like that.
So are you involved in the cameras as well, or is it more the integration to the cameras?
We're involved in the cameras also. Generally, we subcontract our labor. I've got a service department that is licensed. We're able to install the hardware and all that, but we subcontract out basically the pulling of the wires and things of that nature. But we do a turnkey operation. We recently just did the Arkansas Department of Transportation, and actually that was more of an access control system, but that was 13 floors and 130 doors and some things like that. So we can take on some larger projects.
Yeah, that's what I was saying in the large project. And who are your customers?
Um, the largest project we ever had, and this is kind of probably takes us off course a little bit. At one time, I had Sam's Club. I had all the Sam's Club stores worldwide. If you
Oh,
got a
wow.
membership printer, a membership card when you walked in, that was on a printer that we sold. So uh, we know how to handle large end clients. Working with Walmart, we learned a lot from that. We don't do work with those guys anymore, but some of the other large scale projects we've done, the Arkansas Department of Health, that was a LENSEC project that we put a number of cameras on. We've got at least a couple of school districts that we've got a number of cameras on. Those are some of the bigger ones that we do. And keep in mind, Arkansas is a rural state. And so because we're rural, the integrators that are available within the state that can come work with these real entities are few and far between. AAMSCO is probably one of the few companies in the state of Arkansas that can do things at the level we do them at.
Oh, wow. Do you cover all of Arkansas?
We do. We cover the state. Yeah.
I have to bring up, I lived in Jonesboro, Arkansas when I was a professional wrestler.
Oh, okay.
So I understand. I know Paragould, Arkansas, Jonesboro, Arkansas, even down to West Memphis, Arkansas. So I was in that type of Pocahontas, Arkansas.
Sure.
So I'm bringing out those different, when I was living down south on, I remember the television station in Jonesboro that we were on at like 11:30 at night back 27 years ago. So,
well, okay.
Myself, or maybe 25. Shout out to Burt Prentice and again, Arkansas. So that's interesting. You cover all of Arkansas. Where is AAMSCO located?
We're located in Little Rock. We've been here for 40 years. We've got a pretty solid reputation. We're absolutely not the low-cost leader, and we don't go in with that. But, if you work with lots of government agencies, lots of school districts, lots of associations for years and years and years, you become recognized, and you can almost create yourself to be the go-to person in some of these environments.
Why did you choose LENSEC?
I picked LENSEC up about, I want to say it was close to 10 years ago now. And we were really learning the security side of the business at that time. We realized that there were applications where the typical MVR that we were selling with a CCTV system just wasn't capable of some of the expanded needs that some of our customers required. So I candidly can't recall how I found LENSEC, but I know I was glad I found them when I did. So, it's a long-term sale process. There's no doubt about it, but it's a great product. I mean, it LENSEC stand up.
So let's kind of talk about, you chose them because you wanted something that really would go further in the process of integration with all the great integrations. So what do you love a lot about, what do you like best about our software?
Well, as president of the company, maybe a surprise, but I don't have a lot of interaction with the software itself. I've got technicians and salespeople that can, know it extremely well and are well versed with it. My perspective is more when I look at a vendor like LENSEC, I'm looking for things like the quality of the product, the quality of the support. If you're working as an integrator, it's a partner relationship. When you go to the customer understands that we are a local entity and that LENSEC is the piece that we are bringing in to bring the solution to them. When I think about LENSEC or any other vendor that I deal with, one of the things that stands out to me is, when we first get moving with things, we first get our installations down and stuff like that. When the problems arise is where things really play out as to whether you've got a good vendor or not. I always look at Okay, problems are going to come up no matter what. How fast do these problems get resolved? How responsive is the vendor to it? And are we making the customer feel like this is being addressed? And from that perspective, no pun intended, LENSEC is great. Sometimes there's things come up, but they're responsive. My customers are aware that they know when LENSEC has a problem, that it is being addressed, and they will get it done, and probably in a pretty timely manner.
So you really like the support team, and then also, I guess, the ability to also talk to the sales team, right?
That's exactly it. It's two-sided. Okay, the support team's great once I put it down, but as you just said, at the time when we're going in, we've qualified the prospect. I've got one particular sales rep that can pretty much go in on her own now without having to WebEx in with the LENSEC sales support team. But some other sales reps are not quite as fluent. And either way, when we bring in our sales rep, Mike Deeks is our rep, it's great. He's very good at helping analyze what the customer's needs are, allowing our sales reps to handle the part of the sales presentation that they can handle. But then at the same time, when it's time for them to pass it on to Mike to continue the presentation and what have you, he does a good job with it.
So kind of defining a great partnership, if it sounds like what you're saying, is it has to be a great support all around. The product, the market, anything involving LENSEC that were available for you. And that's
correct.
Having a vendor like that, correct?
Yeah. I mean, we don't profess to go in, with the lowest cost. We go to our market and to our prospects and customers and let them know that we're going to bring them a total solution, that we're going to support it accurately. It's at a fair price, and the partner that we're bringing in has the same outlook as we do.
You talked about the support end, but let's talk about, one other thing I think you would talk about that you like is that if your sales reps didn't like selling the product, because they're the ones having to demo it and do all those different things, they like the product then, for sure, right?
They do.
Because you're not really involved in the technical side of things as other people on your team, but what do they say about the product itself to you? What would you hear the word that they say all the time?
My salespeople like it, although it's a long-term sale. It just requires a little more planning to move it forward, but they don't shy away from it because of that. They can only handle so many of those at a time. From a technical standpoint, I sit in weekly service meetings, and where we had a LENSEC call that came up, I will talk to my technicians and go, where are we? What's happening with this? Sometimes I'm putting on the email links when we're communicating back and forth with the LENSEC support team, and it gets resolved. I rarely find that I have to go back to my technicians and say, why hasn't this been resolved, or why isn't this moving forward, or what is going on with that? I'm either in the loop via email, or my texts are coming back to me a few days later and say it's resolved.
And that's so important. We've talked about it, but it's great that you talked about the whole all-around part of the process, and that's fantastic. And I think what we've learned today is that when you talk about working with a manufacturer, it's not just the product, how it works. It's every member of that manufacturing team working together with the partner to make sure that they understand the product, are supported by the product, and are able to deliver the product to that customer with a satisfaction. That's the most important thing, right?
That's the definition of integrating complicated technologies and integrating with multiple partners and applications to make it come together. Yeah, just because you sell it doesn't mean it's done.
Now, there's a lot more after the sale, so that you have more sales and the word gets out more and more. Okay, so the best place people can connect with AAMSCO is where? Where can they go?
Well, just our website, www.aamsco.net.
Fantastic.
That's That's our best go-to place to find us.
Well, I appreciate you coming by, and it was really interesting to learn about your background, not just in security, but as an entrepreneur, business owner, and the things you've learned throughout this process, and how people that want to contact you should visit the website, especially if they're in the Arkansas area. And if you've learned more about what they do, and if you're another integrator that is kind of the way AAMSCO is, they should consider security, especially if they don't have a VMS. Because there's still, in all the phone calls I make every day, Geoff, there still are people out there that are the NVR DVRs. They still are not going to have a standalone VMS. And it's very important to have that because the security industry and the integrations and COVID-19 and all those things really welcome those things. So I appreciate you stopping by.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for interviewing me.
All right, guys, that was a really great episode as we interviewed Geoff Riordan of AAMSCO. We want to thank Geoff Riordan from AAMSCO for stopping by. What's your perspective? Great colleague of ours for the last 10 years, speaks highly of our product. But it's really interesting to learn more about LENSEC's team, not just our sales team or marketing team or inside sales, but learn more about our support, how we support our end users and also our partners. And we like saying partner because we really partner with the person who sells our manufacturing product. So remember to go to lensec.com/live to catch up to all the current episodes that we've had. What's your perspective? Again, celebrating over 25 episodes. And lastly, make sure you like and share this video and tell your friends about Perspective EMS and LENSEC and what's your perspective. So I appreciate everyone tuning in, and we'll take care, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.